Hi, so my name is Jiten Bhagat. I work at the University of Manchester. I'm one of those arrogant software engineers you heard about before. So I'll try my best to... So basically, part of this talk is a blatant plug for Taverna, BioCatalogue, myExperiment. You may have heard of some of these things. But actually, part of it is to really talk about how we integrated them to work together for our users and some of the lessons learned to make this all work together. I think it really nicely falls into Judith's talk and also Steve's talk earlier as well. So Taverna is a workflow design and execution environment. So if you're not familiar with workflows, these are analyses or pipelines or data flows that allow people to automate some of the work that they carry out. And it's really useful for bioinformaticians in silico experimentation. And we found that they're really hard to design, they're really hard to build, and they often capture a lot of knowledge, the protocol, the experimentation that people use. And also, a lot of these workflows, especially in Taverna, tend to access web services, scripts, and remote and local resources. So a tool like Taverna allows someone to pull together data that they may have done manually in a web browser, copying and pasting, into an automated fashion. But then it brings up questions of what happens to these web services, what's web services to use, what happens when they change functionality, and just generally if someone's looking to do a particular bit of functionality, a bit of task, they need to know where to go. And Google was often the first point of contact to search for web services. So we built a BioCatalogue, and BioCatalogue is essentially a curated catalog of web services that allows anyone to register, discover, and annotate their web services. And we also provide monitoring, so you can tell when things change, when things go down, and this feeds into Taverna. And the last bit of the trio is myExperiment, which you may have heard about, which is a repository of these workflows, and it's also a social networking, sharing, collaboration environment. And it started off as one of the VRE projects for JISC. And the idea is to create this environment where people can go and share their workflows and really sort of tell people about what they're doing and collaborate and meet new people who are doing similar things. And it's been running for a number of years now with quite a fair bit of content and fair bit of usage. Now, the thing that we quickly realized is this is just one sort of pattern. On myExperiment, there are workflows that are not Taverna workflows. There are many other workflows like Meandra and other systems. Likewise, in BioCatalogue, there are web services in there that may not interest the Taverna community. But having said all that, we did have a large subset of people who are interested in having these three tools really work well together. And that was the challenge. The challenge was saying, how can we make these three tools part of the user's environment and really bring together the usage of these three tools? So what we did is we built plugins in Taverna so that people could search for new tools and web services from BioCatalogue, search for existing workflows from myExperiment, and all of this is integrated into the Taverna environment, the desktop environment that a lot of our bioinformaticians and other domain scientists use and researchers. So the benefit of this is it's all there in front of the users to use, and there was a lot of challenges in making this work for users. So what I'll do is I'll just talk about a few key points that I've kind of parsed out the experiences, and one is the obvious user-driven design and development. So we've heard about this, we've talked about this, and I'm pretty sure we'll talk about it a lot more in the next couple of days. But one of the key points was to bring your tools to their tools. So the point being that users, scientists, researchers have their own environment they're working in, and it's very rare for them to change that. You have to really convince them to actually move away from that environment. So you have to bring your tools to their tools. The other thing is multiple interfaces and contexts. It really is about understanding what are the different interfaces, what are the different contexts that people work in. So, you know, the myExperiment view and the BioCatalogue view in Taverna is very different to the website. People are like, why don't you just get users to use the BioCatalogue, myExperiment websites? Well, they're different use cases. And the other one is published and documented APIs, something that we'll probably talk about from a more technical standpoint, which is how do these things work together? You build good APIs, published and documented. And the final point is simple is better than non-existent. If your tool doesn't exist, it's not going to be used. If it exists, but it's not simple enough and people don't want to use it, it's not going to be used. If it's simple, then it's much, much better than it's non-existent. So that's about it. Hopefully this will spark some discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.